Hello, and welcome to a Corner Bead episode of the Drywall Podcast. I'm your host, once again, Nick Harmon. With us today, Rob McKay of Bead Inc. Rob is unique in that all he does is install corner bead. We discussed that and how that knowledge led him to inventing some really cool tools. And so you're taping along and you create a new tool. What was the first tool that you created?
The first tool was the roller, right?
The roller.
Yeah.
But there's already a roller out there, isn't there? Like you're talking about an outside corner applicator roller.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
I didn't make the roller. I just added a rubber seal, I guess you would say, over the wheels to help it cinch the paper down better.
Okay.
Right.
What was the seal that you added?
You know, what I used? I used a bicycle tube tire. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Bicycle tube, and I just cut a ring off it, and I would glue it on there, and it would help cinch the paper down. Right.
Weird. I went why? It was just that little bit of raise on the wheels helped cinch the paper down, and it probably didn't slide around as much, I would say.
Didn't slide around, and it cinched the paper down. I mean, nothing's perfectly straight, you know?
Sure.
So with your imperfections, it's going to kind of hit in there a little bit better, I think.
Okay. Rob is the first bead person and only bead person we've had on the podcast, and I think you're going to learn some stuff about corner bead on this episode of the Drywall Podcast. The month of July is sponsored by our good friends over the pond at GWI out of Swindon, England, supplying the UK with drywall finishing products since 2021. Their claim is delivering quality brands nationwide. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, or go online and order stuff directly from www.gwiltd.com for all your finishing needs. Also, look for Fresco Harmony out of GWI soon. The Drywall Podcast is also brought to you by Fresco Harmony, making walls better since 2004. Available at csrbuilding.com. Guests of the Drywall Podcast will also receive a sweet swag bucket care of CSR Building Supplies. We appreciate them for that. But for now, Rob McKay, the corner bead master, on the 56th episode of the Drywall Podcast. Let's get into it. Pretty cool, huh?
It is.
Took a while to get here, Rob, but we got here.
Yeah, bring it on.
I do this all the time, you know. At first it was like it was kind of a pain and a little weird, but it's kind of cool, right? You're up in Vancouver, BC. I'm down here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we could talk about these fancy tools that you make.
All right. Sounds good.
We have Rob McKay, a tool builder out of Vancouver, BC, on the Drywall Podcast today. You were referred to me by Aaron of Columbia Tools, and I think I saw one of your tools at CSR when I was up there, maybe the sponge tool.
Yeah, he took a set of them up there for me. Yeah.
And they're so cool and they're so supportive in that way. Let's back up a little bit. And your company is called Bead Inc, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, and so what's your background? Do you come from the trade? Are you a drywall finisher or hanger by trade?
I sprayed and boarded and then got into bead, right?
Okay.
Just beading, that's all we do is bead. And we used to do quite a few of the towers in Vancouver before 2010. And that
What does that mean? What does that mean? You beaded? You just put on the corner bead?
That's it. Just
Okay.
specialize in bead, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So we've probably done an excess of 25 million feet throughout the years,
Okay.
right? So we didn't build these tools to become tool makers, to be honest with you. We just
Yeah.
built them out of necessity because we felt that the tools on the market weren't good with those hard plastic wheels and stuff like that, right? It
Yeah.
seemed like uh, after a year or so, they started to get the proper taper, right?
Okay.
Um, they never were designed with like a 90-degree, taper, like such as these, right? And then also at the beginning, I was putting just a little rubber coating around the wheel to help cinch the paper down. And then I realized that if I ever did want to take these to market, I'd have to make them a little more professional. So what
Yeah.
we've done is we've machined the wheels, and then we've got a silicone.
Well, hold up a second before we get into talking about these
Okay.
awesome tools. Let's back up, man. We got to establish a storyline here.
Okay.
Who is Rob McKay? How do you have the nerve to make these tools? Um, when you started in the trade, why did you end up in corner beading? I mean, how come you didn't do? How come you weren't like a full fledged like drywall finisher? Were you in the union? Were you not in the union? Take me through the history there a little bit. How you got into the trade?
Well, basically, I got into it with my brother, who was
Okay,
doing bead, right? And out here, um, they had like bead crews,
okay,
um,
weird.
mainly because we're doing it. That's all we're doing every day. So
You're the first bead specific applicator that we've had on the show, right? I
okay,
mean, stop me if I'm wrong. Most people, it's like the hanger puts on the corner bead or the finisher puts on tape on corner bead. It's not, beading is not necessarily a thing. So talk to me a little bit about that. That you guys were specialized in putting on the corner bead. Somebody would hang the sheetrock, somebody would finish it. You guys would bead, correct?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So why we were successful, I guess, is because we showed them that we could do it probably quality better than possibly the tapers because that's all we did, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Day in and day out. And, we also put a crew together. So we were pretty efficient, right?
Right.
So a lot of these jobs, when they get it turned over to them for drywall,
Yeah.
they have only a certain amount of time before they've got to turn it back over for paint, right?
Okay. Okay.
So if their taping crew isn't efficient at beading, it's going to take them a while, and that's going to slow their completion time down, right? So
Okay.
we would do basically the crew does about 500 feet an hour, right?
Okay.
So these tapers, obviously they're not going to be as efficient as us.
Right.
And, the companies realize we're doing better quality work than probably the tapers because they're, like I say, they're not doing it every day as much as we are, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's tricks to everything and production and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. How did you get into beading?
Well, my brother was got into it. He was a full fledged drywall boarded tape, and
Okay.
then he's seen the niche for bead, right? And if you can learn to put it on efficiently, you can make good money at it, right? So I was actually a metal finisher by trade, and then he kind of showed me what he was doing, and I liked it and got into it in the early '80s, right?
Were you working with
And
your brother at the time?
at first, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, at first I was, and then I just went on my own.
Yeah. Did he show you the ropes a little bit?
He showed me the techniques of installing, yeah, for
Okay.
sure,
Okay.
yeah. You know, back then, I think we were putting metal bead on, nailing it on by hand.
Yeah. With a crimper.
We did use the crimper for high rise before they let us actually air gun staple it on the metal
Okay.
because the gauge is thin, so the staples will go through it, right?
Why are
So
staples better?
faster than
Faster? Okay.
screwing. Back then in steel stud, you would either crimp it
Yep.
or screw it, and screwing would probably take forever, and it's kind of a overkill, you could say, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you glue? Do you use glue?
We were using some DSA glue at the time, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, glue. We'd glue it and clinch it,
Okay.
and then paper bead came out, started to become out more
Yep.
probably in mid to late '80s out here, anyways.
Yeah. What do you think about paper bead and vinyl bead, like the trim tech stuff?
Myself, I think vinyl bead is the way of the future for
Yeah.
sure
Okay.
because
And
of the unstable metal costs and stuff like that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Gluing
Okay.
paper gluing paper on metal can have its disadvantages in production as well, right? As far as
Yeah. Yeah.
adhesion and stuff like that. But paper
Okay.
bead's a good product for sure, right?
Paper bead's good too. Now, so you guys were doing it all though? Would you also put on tape on corner bead if like the general contractor wanted tape on corner bead?
Yeah, like no coat and stuff like that. You mean?
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no,
you would do whatever bead needed to be done. You were experts in all applications of corner bead.
yeah, 90-degree inside outside angle
Okay.
channel, no coat,
Okay.
all the
D-
shadow trims and
yeah.
defense and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it gets pretty involved when you get into the specialty corner beads, especially that stuff by Trim Techs, you know.
Yeah,
Um, you need a chop saw, for some of it if you want to do a good job, right?
that's how we did it. We used saw. We used saw for even some of the metal bead. We got metal
Yeah.
cutting blades, right?
Makes a
Yeah,
better cut, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
cleaner. You guys
Nice
are
reminder.
you are probably a badass corner bead applicator. Like any finisher would be very happy to follow you.
A lot of people like our work for sure. That's why we were successful,
Because
right?
I've followed some shitty corner bead applicators for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
Cut it
yeah,
out and throw it up. Yeah, gaps and shit.
yeah, yeah.
Your
No,
stuff's probably all mitered tight.
we cut pretty tight for
I'll
sure.
bet you do. I'll bet you
Yeah.
do. So you're installing corner bead. You have how many tools have you have evolved? And let's like talk about the first tool that came to you. What was it? When did it come to you?
For the paper bead?
So you have different tools for different beads.
Well, we don't. We only use paper bead now,
Now
right?
you only use paper bead tape
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Do you use one of those machines where you slide the paper bead through the hopper and get the
Yes,
mud
sir.
on it that way? Okay.
Yeah.
So and then
We
you're cutting all are you still cutting the paper bead with a miter with a miter saw?
no, just with snips.
With the snips, okay.
Yeah.
And so you're taping along and you create a new tool. What was the first tool that you created?
The first tool was the roller,
The
right?
roller. But
Yeah,
there's already a roller out there, isn't there? Like you're talking about an outside corner applicator roller.
yeah. Like
Okay.
I didn't make the roller. I just added a rubber a rubber seal, I guess you would say, over the wheels to help it cinch the paper down better,
Okay.
right?
What was the seal that you added?
You know, you know
Do
what I
you
used? I used a
what?
bicycle tube tire, right?
Oh,
A
okay,
bicycle
yeah.
tube, and I just cut a ring off it, and I would glue it on there, and it would
Okay.
help cinch the paper down, right?
Weird. I went why? It was just that little bit of raise on the wheels helped cinch the paper down, and it probably didn't slide around as much, I would say?
Didn't slide around and it cinched the paper down. I mean, nothing's perfectly straight, you know?
Sure.
So with your imperfections, it's gonna kinda hit in there a little bit better, I think.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was successful for us,
Cool.
right? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you put these bicycle tube sort of what'd you call them? Like little ringlets?
Right, yeah, whatever you wanna call it.
You were like, "Whatever, bicycle tube, you could cut out a bunch out of a tube, right?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you guys only had a couple of, and one of them would last you a while. Well, this isn't, like, revolutionary, I mean, you could sell the little bicycle tubes. Where do you go from there?
After that, then we started making our own wheels with a proper taper,
Okay.
right, that fit the bead on day 1, and then
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Wheels with a proper taper that fit the bead on day 1. Just
well,
elaborate.
traditionally, if you look at the rollers on the market, they have just a step, right? They don't have a full-blown, like, nice taper, right?
Do
Even
you
talking
have
to one.
you had a little roller there, if you pull it up into your camera, we can kinda see what you're talking, and I can explain a little bit about what's going on here. Like, they're not a perfect cylinder. They taper
Yes, sir.
out from the
Yeah,
inside. Okay.
yeah.
And that is to clinch. It kinda so as you roll, it clinches that paper bead.
It fits the bead perfectly, right?
So this is what you came up with, a tapered roller as opposed to your bicycle tube design from the
Yeah, we
start.
started
Okay.
using the metal taper, and then to make it more pro, we put a silicone tube over the wheel,
Okay.
right? And that's
And
the
w and
cincher.
do you make this roller?
I make everything on the roller, yes, sir.
Everything on the roller, but not the roller.
We've designed it all. Yeah, we designed it so there's no
Okay.
bolt on the end that's gonna hit the wall or in tight spaces, right?
Okay, so
Uh,
you have your own outside corner applicator roller.
yes, sir.
Okay. And you sell these, where do you sell these?
To the, drywall distributors in Vancouver,
Okay.
half of them are selling them. And
What
also
is well, what are some locations where people could go find these tools?
Dryco,
Okay.
Coast, Crown, FBM,
Okay.
for now.
And how many distributors do you have selling this tool?
I think about 6.
About 6. Okay, excellent. And how long have you been selling this particular tool?
On the market, not long. Not
Not
long.
long.
We just introduced it, like, last year, really.
Okay. And how are they doing? Are they getting a decent response?
They're doing okay, but
Yeah.
my problem is making a tool like this is expensive, even my
Yeah.
cost,
Yeah.
right? So for the guys, they'll go in and look at them, they like them, but they're, quite a bit more than your regular roller, right?
Okay.
And people don't understand what it is either. Like this, the roller also, I've lengthened it out so it actually will work for any bead on the market, including no coat, hydro trim.
It looks like a
Mm,
really fantastic design. So
yeah,
how much is a regular roller versus your roller retail?
your regular rollers around 80, $90,
Okay.
right? These we've got to sell for 150 minimum.
Okay. Okay.
And that's not even a huge profit margin,
Sure.
right?
So me as a consumer, I want to buy your roller. Why is paying that extra money beneficial for me to buy your roller?
Well, if you try the other rollers and then try our roller, our roller is also, it's kind of heavy. When people pick it up, that's what they say. Oh, it's heavy. They don't think about the whole picture. And That roller, once you set it up, once you put it on the corner, you don't have to put any pressure on it. The weight of the
Okay.
roller is kind of setting it all, and very little pressure required to set the
Okay.
bead, right? That's the difference. If the hard plastic rollers, you got to put a bit of weight on them to get them to
Okay.
cinch down. You know what I mean?
It's a pretty badass roller. And when you're rolling bead all day like you guys, man, that made a big difference, right?
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're joining the ranks of the insane who have created drywall tools for the drywall industry, and now you are charged with the task of trying to sell to these highly resistant drywall finishers a new method. Well, welcome to the party.
Yeah. 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 They're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
everybody's set in their ways, right? And people
yeah,
don't wanna try it. People don't wanna change, right? But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like anything, once you try something and then you realize, hey, like, there's the guys that do buy them and use them, they love them, right?
Sure.
You know?
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
you are getting good feedback.
Oh,
Now,
yeah,
I
yeah.
would maybe if I was you, I would get a couple of testimonials from these guys that have used a regular roller. They've gone and used your roller. And do you have a name for this tool, just out of curiosity?
For the roller,
Yeah.
nothing special, just bead roller.
Ooh, you have the name right there. Nothing special. Like that's what you call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Nothing Special by Rob McKay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you thought about coming up with a name for this tool?
Not specifically. No.
I think
No.
you should. I think you should. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Something neat. I like how it butterflies out like that. Like you could call it the butterfly roller or something cool like that that like differentiates it from other rollers, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a neat design. Nobody's making one like it. Have you looked into patents and things like this around this roller?
There's actually this came from my lawyer yesterday, and yeah,
Okay.
we actually have a design patent on it. And then
Fabulous. Now, is it a
the
patent pending or is it actual did you
no,
actually get a patent?
it's actually a utility patent.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't starting out to be a tool maker. My daughter actually seen the other tool I made, and she's the one that said, "Dad, you got a patent that." 'Cause every taper that's seen it kind of picked it out of the pail and asked what it was, right? If you want, I'll bring that one out right now, right? The it's just a simple, very simple device using for cleaning the bead after
For cleaning the bead. Yeah, yeah. So, well,
after
let's go along the timeline. I imagine that this second tool, and how many tools do you have in all? Just the two?
just to I'm working on other things that I can't really expose right now, right?
Okay, that's
But
fine.
yeah,
You enjoy sort of coming up with these ideas now. Your inspiration has been sparked a little bit. You like, it's cool to come up with new ideas that hopefully can help other tradesmen out and make the job a little easier. Um,
initially
so,
it was just for me, but yeah, I'm sharing it now,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and what inspired you to share the idea? Just was it just about, hey man, I can make a lot of money selling these. They work really well for me. I think people really like them. You know,
To be honest with you, it's not really honestly, it's not really about the money, you could say,
sure,
because
sure.
never gonna make huge money making a quality tool like
Right.
this, right?
What's it about? What's it about?
It's just sharing. It's just I'll tell you, when I go somewhere and see, say, other companies or other people installing bead and the way they're doing it, I just kind of get frustrated, right? And lack of knowledge on their part, but in their defense, like nobody showed them. Like, like we've even my brothers, like we've when we do something, we always look at how can we do it quicker, faster, more efficient, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's how we've come up with these ideas. When I did the pole sponges when we were doing the Olympic Village, we did the whole village in 10 months or whatever it was.
Okay.
Pretty much every unit there had a drop, right? So you're jumping up and down on horses all day. right? And
Okay.
then I was just looking, we were using sponges to clean the bead at that time anyways. And then I thought, well, why don't I just make a little metal thing that holds it in this angle and you just dip in water and wipe it down and it cleans it in like 3 seconds instead of jumping up and down. You know what I mean? That's for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
drops. You can basically walk and do the whole drop, right? It is on our website. We show some, some videos of how we do it.
What's the website?
Bead Inc.
.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so and for you all listening, if you're born in a cave or if you don't know that when you run corner beads, sometimes you get mud on the corner bead, which then you have to scrape down with the edge of your knife. Everybody knows. Well, some people know. I still see people using the flat edge of the knife, but you always want to use the off edge of your knife because if you hit that metal or corner bead, it'll create a burr on your on the corner of your blade. But a lot of people will scrape their corner bead down. Down here in the Southwest, we have a lot of bullnose corner bead, which
Okay.
this tool would
Yeah.
be phenomenal for bullnose because you get a larger buildup of mud. This is a buildup of mud when you're running those angles. You get a buildup of mud on your corner bead. This is a sponge essentially that is fashioned in a right angle so that you can dip, and it's on a pole. So you dip the sponge into water. It's kind of kinked at a 90-degree angle, and then you can clean off your corner bead quickly and efficiently with this tool. What
Sweet.
immediately occurs to me is that like you could have a detachable system where this tool fashions to the roller pole, and then you just have one pole, two tools.
Yeah, we don't do that. We just use it either way, right? Either
Okay,
on the
so
roller.
you have a different pole for each tool.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay, cool. And and I imagine you don't have a name for this tool either, which you should
We
definitely.
just call it the pole sponge.
The pull sponge and
Yeah.
the pull roller.
I guess, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have any pictures of the early pole sponge or pole roller that you could send me?
I never took pictures. No.
Okay.
Initially the first um pole sponge I made was I bought a cleaning device from Home Depot.
Okay.
You just cut the ends off and then that metal was bent already. And then
Okay.
I just wired it in somehow, right? But
Yeah.
this here we made it so this just comes off like that, right?
Well, you got to put it up so that when you see yours in the camera there, that the whole mechanism is in the camera, so that I can see
Okay.
what you're doing
All right.
there.
So this here we just have a wire.
Okay. Neat.
It's got a little hole up there, right? So you just hit it's got a little hook down here, right?
Okay.
You just pull that out, and out comes a sponge,
Oh, cool.
right?
That's sweet.
And then it screws in and very simple.
And so, and then this is kind of cool because then you can resell these sponges over and over.
I haven't got involved with the sponge, but definitely
Eventually.
that would be another part of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to keep everything North American made, you could say,
Yeah.
right? And
Sure. Yeah.
that's kind of the issue with costs, right?
Right. Right.
So I mean, all the reputable tool makers are all North American made
Yeah, but you
products.
have to understand sometimes, man, it's hard to compete when you're a
I
little
know
guy,
that.
sometimes you gotta like, maybe you'll have to go get a component from China or something so you
You
compete
know,
with these big dogs.
we actually did, but even coming out of there, they're not much cheaper.
Right. And what about
You
Aaron though? Have you talked to him about making tools for you over there at Columbia?
I haven't talked to him about making my tools.
Not the whole tool, but like components of the tool.
We haven't discussed that.
Okay.
They like them. All the few of the major tool makers have seen them, and they all like them. Um,
Yeah.
I've talked to one. I won't mention who it is right now, but
Yeah, that's okay.
he might take it over. Right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because
Right.
it's a good
Yeah.
idea. You might want to partner with somebody that can really ramp up sales, you know.
Yeah. They have distribution. Like
Yeah.
I'm just a little guy and come up
Yeah.
with a good idea and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, a great idea, I think. That roller is really cool. That would be attractive to me. I think it would be attractive to if it was set properly in a shop or store, you know, with some good advertising. Boom, butterfly roller, the best roller since sliced bread or whatever,
There you go.
shave a day off of your next corner bead project, however you want to market it. I think that it would be pretty attractive even at the price point. It's cool looking, like it's a different concept.
That's the thing, right? And the time and money it's gonna save you the pay for the roller and 2 or 3 jobs you do, you know?
Right, there you
Right?
go, there you go.
So,
Yeah.
but it's mentality of the way people think and change, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you've invented these tools. You're in a couple distributors in Vancouver, BC, Dryco and whatnot. How are you marketing to other distributors aside from the person that shall not be named who might consider taking it on under their wing, going in their downline for distribution for the product? Are you doing other things to try and market and distribute it?
Nothing
Okay,
too crazy yet or anything, no, just in
nothing too
Vancouver right
great.
now.
Are you making
Yeah.
videos?
We've made videos that are on the site, right?
Okay,
Shows how we install. I've even, uh, posted a few tips on how we do our production just for cutting the beads, sending it in designated areas,
beautiful.
right? Just to help, just to spread some knowledge, right?
I think you could have a whole angle on like the a corner bead, because nobody really specializes in just corner bead. Having like a YouTube page or something where you guys just like talk about all your tricks and tips to making applying corner bead faster and more efficient. Like that would be interesting, I think, to a lot of finishers.
For sure. Like if you look at our site and the way we install, and then you do go to, like I say, punch in installing paper face corner bead. The
Okay.
guys that are doing it, they're not doing it in a production way we do it. So, and I'm not going to knock them for the way they're
No,
doing it,
no.
but um, yeah, definitely, it's all we do. So we have to come up with an efficient way, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but yeah, definitely we like the bead box system opposed to
Yep.
the applicating system. It's just we've put it on all different ways and that works best for us, right?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Neat. And you are still installing corner bead. That's primarily what you do. What's the company that you work with right now?
We work for several different companies,
Okay.
right? Not just one. In
Okay.
Vancouver, we've worked for all the big players in Vancouver at one time or another.
Sure. And
You
when
know,
you say we, what do you mean?
me and my crew.
You and your crew. And
Yeah.
this is your company?
Yes.
And what's the name of your company?
ProBead
Pro
Inc.
ProBead Inc. Okay.
Yeah.
And so ProBead Inc. is your company that installs corner bead. ProBead Inc. is also the company that manufactures tools.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they're under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very cool. And how many people are on your crew?
Right now, 5,
Nice. And you guys just tear it up with the corner bead.
pretty much. Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
in and you got a couple of chop saws and you probably have some baller corner bead applicators and it's just all corner bead. Do you finish the bead after the bead is on ever?
No,
Nope.
we just
No.
install it, clean it, and on our way.
Okay. Move on. So what is your cleaner though? Isn't your cleaner mostly for the drywall finishers, not for your guys? The sponge tool.
That
The pole sponge.
pole sponge. That's for us. That's just to keep the bead clean. Like, when they go and fill it, you don't want to have barnacles on there because then they're gonna have
Yeah.
problems. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
make
Then you
sure
get
it's like squeaky clean, right?
okay, but theoretically that tool would work for cleaning off mud.
That's what it does.
That yeah, that's I mean that's what occurs to me, but you use it just to clean off like the excess little chunkies and stuff that get on there. Barnacles as you say, that's a good word.
Well, we're not cleaning barnacles because we're cleaning it when it's still wet,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Like right after it's rolled, we clean it so it doesn't have time to dry.
Oh, right. So you're using mud though with the paper applicator in that scenario. I'm thinking metal. I've all kind I'm thinking just metal where
Yeah,
you wouldn't have any mud. But when you're using a roller to put on paper, tape on corner bead, that corner bead's messy. You clean it off nice and pretty, and then you just have these elated finishers coming behind you, finishing behind immaculate corner bead.
pretty much. Yeah.
How nice must that be for them?
Yeah, that's what makes us kind of successful, right? Yeah, yeah,
And
and
you have a pretty good relationship with the, drywall finishers that you guys are going in front of?
oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. You
Yeah,
have to that's our job to make the tapers happy, right? You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'd think, if the drywall hangers thought that way, we would be living in a completely different world.
Well, I know a little bit about back east, the way they do it. Out here in Canada anyway, from what I've seen, we actually went to Montreal one time to do a demo on this product, not my stuff, but the paper bead product, trying to promote it out there with, actually was with Dryco, but those guys, it's all union out there, and the borders, hangers as you call them, they put the bead on. So they're putting metal bead on, and then they're putting mesh tape over the metal bead,
Yeah.
right? So, in our view, it's pretty timely, way to do it, but
Yeah, we
that's
did
their
it that
thing.
I was just talking about this. We did it that way in Colorado. The ground, it's high up, so it's snowy mountain town. So you have ice in the ground, so you have a lot of settling. So we
Okay.
always did one of the dudes would put on the corner bead on our crew, and then we would mesh tape it and finish it with quickset joint compound.
Yeah, it's a good method, but it's time consuming,
It's
right?
time consuming. It makes a pretty strong corner though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. No, it's very good. Just time consuming.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Very cool. So what does the future hold for Pro Bead Inc. and Rob McKay?
Oh, just trying to keep at it and maybe build it a bit bigger, right? Lots of work, lots of towers going up in Vancouver again,
Yeah.
right? So we'll see.
Are you
Getting close.
noticing go ahead.
Yeah. I was just saying, getting close to the end of my career, right? But my guys will probably keep on.
Yeah. How old are you? What, like 35?
Yeah. Coming up at 63. Yeah,
63 years young.
yeah, yeah.
What are you
And
gonna
that's
do
part of the
what are you gonna do
that
when you retire?
I don't know, hopefully build tools.
Just putter around and build some tools, man. It's kind of
Yeah,
it's fun to market a tool. It's challenging in this space, but it is fun. You probably had a lot of fun tooling these tools and making them, right?
that's different. I'm always out in the garage, doing something or thinking of something better ways,
Yeah.
more efficient ways, and Like I
Yeah.
asked my guys, I said, what do you think it would be like without these tools? And they said it'd be probably pretty frustrating, you know?
Yeah. See, those are the videos, man. That's the gold that you want for marketing purposes. You want to talk to your guys and be like, why on earth, and just play devil's advocate and be like, why would you use these tools? And let them answer in their own words, well, because it embeds the tape better, it saves me time. I can clean the stick of bead in nothing versus taking 5 minutes to like clean off the corner bead.
And also,
Um,
we never got into it, but also these tools are designed to be easier on your shoulders, right? Like, to be honest with you, I have 2 rotator cuff problems. I've had surgeries
okay.
and stuff like that, and that's from all the wear and tear and pushing so hard, right? Like, if you
Yeah.
didn't push using that knife all day and that, guys in the trade know, right? Older
Yeah.
guys, they're all sore. So
Yeah.
these tools are designed to be easier on your shoulders, like way less pressure required,
That's a
right?
good point.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so if they figure that and buy into that, they'll be less painful for them and more efficient, right?
Yeah. Is there any tips that you could give our listening audience on how to install corner bead or finish corner bead, minus using the pull sponge and the pull roller, because obviously that's going to speed up their efficiency on corner bead application. But since you do it all the time, what is the biggest thing that you see some of these applicators doing that they could change in their corner bead application that would save them a ton of time? If you could tell our listening audience.
Basically, it's how you're cutting and where you're setting your bead, right? Say if you're
Okay.
doing it a townhouse or a house, even for that matter,
Okay.
each room is going to have, like a window or two and a closet and a stand up or two, possibly.
Yep.
So we pre-cut all that and we just set it right by the doorway. So then the guys installing the bead are going to come and throw it through the bead box, and then they'll do a certain amount of area depending on the temperature in the building, say, right? You can't keep pulling it out, it's going to dry, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you're going to do maybe a room or two, or depending how the system's running, or you're going to just have that cut by the doorway. I think I showed that on my site there, and throw it through the box, have it placed back, and it's pretty mathematical where the pieces are going to go. It might look like a puzzle at the beginning, but if
Yeah.
you're the guy cutting it, you know where it's going to go back, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you can lean it.
Closet header
You
might
can
be
lean.
that wide, but a window header is going to be, and it's just visual. You're going to figure it out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's
So
the
do you?
main. That's the main thing I would think is just be more efficient in where you're leaving your bead and cutting it and putting it back on, right?
Okay. All right. And now when you're installing like a window, do you do like let's say you have a full window that you're installing that's four lengths of bead. Do you do two sides and then the verticals first and then the horizontals? How do you do that?
We pre-cut everything,
You
right?
pre-cut everything.
Yeah, out here, kind of rare that there's four-sided because usually it's a window sill there, right?
Sure.
But it's all pre-cut. Obviously, cutting four-sided windows pre-cut, it's going to be a little more challenging because you want it to fit perfect. You don't want to have, big gaps.
Right, right. So
Right.
on a four uh length window, would you leave the horizontals and do like the sides first, install those, then cut your horizontals on everything?
You know what? To be honest with you, the way I would do it, the way I do it is I would cut the top and bottom header,
Okay.
have them together and place them on the bottom. Then my sides, because bead is going to push out.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you cut the sides from top to bottom without the bead there, when you go and put the top to bottom on, it's going to be tight, right? And we're not going to
Yeah.
force that. We're not going to force that bead. So I'm gonna say stack the two pieces and then get my cut for the sides. So that's
Okay.
gonna the bead knows I've left room for it there. So there shouldn't be an issue unless your window's not level, right?
Okay. All right. That kind of
You
makes
know what I'm
sense.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes also you have variations on the window size, or the top's going to be a little bit larger than the bottom in some instances. It's out of plumb a little bit.
Nothing's ever perfect,
Yeah,
right?
probably more
No,
so. Probably more so in commercial drywall.
yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, a little bit of a gap is good because, like you say, there's always going to be movement, anyways, right?
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, always movement and settling. So it doesn't have to be like tight, right? Is in
Yeah.
time, it's gonna move. So having a like a small space isn't
Yeah.
gonna hurt anything, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Were
think.
Were you the one that was asking me when I called to do the interview? Were you asking me what's in it for me? Was that you?
Oh yeah. No, I just thought you were gonna charge me something, and nothing's for free in this world so far that I've found, right?
Well, the Drywall
You know?
Podcast is, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, hopefully it spreads some word out there for sure. It'd
Yeah,
be awesome.
and rumor has it you're gonna get a swag bucket from CSR, so I think you're gonna get, like, some cool stuff from CSR.
Awesome.
Possibly a shirt and, three-way and maybe a color pack from Fresco Harmony, and,
Well, I was
this
telling
is
my
all.
daughter about
Yeah?
that, right? She's an interior designer. And
Okay.
I said, "I don't know much about it," but he was explaining, like, it's colored mud, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so she was interested to see it, right?
Yeah, so that's right, we were having a conversation about I was like, "Oh, well, I started the Drywall Podcast to talk to drywallers like you about these cool ideas that you're coming up with or how you got into the trade. What's your story, you know?" It's interesting to me that you've just done bead for years and years and years, and,
Mhm.
like, if anybody out there is looking for some tips or suggestions about corner bead, like, you're the master, and that's one aspect of drywall finishing, but it's a pretty important aspect, and you've created these dynamic tools. That's interesting to me. I think it's interesting to our listener, but the byproduct also is like, hey, it's sponsored by Fresco Harmony, so when I talk to somebody like Aaron, much like he did for you, he can support me. I can support you. I can support Columbia. I can support Can-Am. I can
Yeah,
support CSR or Trimtex.
yeah,
And we all, I think in this trade especially, I think it's very beneficial that we all support each other, especially smaller businesses. Corey Fisher with the Tech Dry Tool, Shane Larson with the Platformer. We have these guys. The Spy Sponge. We have these guys that are coming up with these new ideas that are very cool and very innovative, and they are us. You or me. Like we're all you know coming up with cool ideas, and how cool is it that we get to share those ideas with each other.
well, yeah, and, like, part of my thing is and, like, I always maintain this, like, in the industry, it seems like the corner bead aspect of it has always kind of been overlooked. Like, all these fancy tool makers make brilliant, awesome tools for, filling and taping and everything else, but they've neglected the bead part, I felt, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not putting any of them down. They all make pretty good products, but
Yeah.
as far as the beading tools, I just feel that they've lacked there, right?
Yeah,
But
and
that's an
interesting.
opinion.
Another marketing angle would be that, especially with Fresco Harmony too, the eye always goes to the corner bead. It always goes to the inside angle and the outside angle. It always goes to your angles. If your angles aren't
Yes.
sharp and clean, that's the first thing the client's going to notice. That's just my experience.
Yeah. Or
So, yeah.
flashing or cracking and whatnot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And of course, that's always where the bead's failing is, it's failing in the corners when the house goes to shift after it's been sitting a little bit.
Well, yeah, and that's why they out here, the story out here was we always used metal bead, and then all of a sudden we had to learn to do paper bead. We weren't tapers, so we had to
Yeah.
learn that aspect of it. And it was just CGC actually back then that was promoting paper bead in Vancouver in a harsh way. So, and they proved that, there's way less callbacks, way less comeback. It's not cracking in time. So when the builders and the drywall companies agreed with all that, and that just got on a roll, and that's all they use out here.
There you go. So if you guys are too, if you're curious about Fresco Harmony, go to frescoharmony.com, my website. You can check it out on CSR. There's a ton of videos on YouTube, which I think is an extremely valuable tool. Instagram, Facebook, it's important for us to be on all those platforms if we're marketing a new tool and stuff. And I'm also happy to talk with you offline about marketing ideas if you ever want to pick my brain or anything like that. That goes to all our listeners too. I love talking about marketing. It's fun for me. One thing I ask every interviewee that comes on the show is a pearl of wisdom for the drywall community. What would it be if you could tell the drywall community something inspirational from Rob McKay, something special?
Give our tools a chance, and it'll make a difference in your production for sure, right?
Yeah. Try the Pro Bead Inc tools, the pole sponge and the pole roller. Soon to be cooler names, maybe. Who knows? Maybe we'll just stick with pole roller and pole sponge. Those are good.
Yeah.
But
drywallers like to keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, and that's not a bad thing. Rob, thanks for being with us on the show today, man. This will drop in a couple weeks, and I'll let you know. And if you have any questions for Rob, how do they get a hold of you?
You can drop me an email at ProBead Inc.
Okay. And it's ProBead Inc.
.ca or call them, either one of them.
Okay.
ProBead Inc. will come up online anywhere.
They can find your email through the website. Why don't you tell them what your email is really quick?
That's my personal email is robmc88@telus.
There you go.
ProBead Inc. is just ProBeadInc@telus.com as well, I think.
All right. And they've got the website and stuff. So cool, man. I appreciate you being on the show. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate your time too. Thank you so much.
All right. You have a good day, sir. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Special thanks to Rob McKay for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today. Very appreciative for your time and knowledge. Look for a swag bucket from the wonderful folks over at csrbuilding.com. Also, shout out to GWI Drywall Supply out of Swindon, England, for sponsoring the Drywall Podcast in the month of July. Now offering Fresco Harmony in a limited capacity, but we are sending over a ton of Fresco Harmony very soon. And yours truly, Nick Harmon, will be doing a training in England soon. The Drywall Podcast can be listened to on your favorite platforms like Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also YouTube. And I know that it's available on a gaggle of others as well. Thank you so much for tuning into the Drywall Podcast today. You guys listening are what make this possible for me and other drywall professionals, and I'm very appreciative. You can catch the Drywall Podcast next Friday and every Friday. But until then, keep drywalling.